Aaron Knightley, welcome to Focus on the Fun Stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming today. We were introduced by a mutual friend, Jason Greystone, and the more I have delved into you over the past couple of weeks doing my research, like, wow, you have done a lot in the past 6 years. And I think, if anything, we're going to delve into the what and the why and the how. And I want you to kind of position with the listeners who you are and how you've got to where you are now, because you're 33 and you started your first business at 27. And it feels like, oh my God, a lot has happened in that. And the numbers that we've just been talking about in terms of revenue, ad revenue, are humongous. So Aaron, who are you?
Well, I'm Aaron Knightley, and just to throw it out there, I actually started really at like 18 when I had a first little eBay business. I had a little wedding business, like I've always been tinkering.
Yeah.
But I was building during my 9 to 5, which is like my unique selling point, is that I kept it very quiet. So like I was building and exploring, and yeah, just a backstory. Like I come from a normal working class background. My parents have not had any money, and I love them to bits, and they have really guided me as great, you know, sort of parents who have shown me hard work, you know, although I've got, you know, you have to go through hard work to understand smart work, but they're hard workers. They've been smart with money of what they've had. Yeah. And they've really provided everything I needed, right? And I really saw what you can achieve if you put your mind to it. And they've always believed in me. So normal background, nothing fancy by any means. And actually, I was a bit of a terror when I was younger. So definitely put my mum and dad through it. But just for context, I had my son very early. So what we'll delve into today, just so people know, my change in my life when I could have gone down a very different path was because I had a son very early. So I'd only just turned 20.
Okay.
And really that kind of led to the entrepreneurial journey, which I'm sure we'll talk about today, and things that have been done. But it was that experiencing someone coming into my life who was bigger than me, turning me from selfish to very selfless, and then trying to channel that entrepreneurial confidence. You know, I've got very thick skin, very determined, very driven naturally. And you know, yeah, I'm 33 now. I started building the first proper business in my 9 to 5 and kept it very quiet until I was able to leave one day, which was just spontaneous. I just left in the heat of the moment, shut my laptop, and, you know, I'm sure we get into loads of things. But yeah, that's a bit of a backstory.
And what kind of job were you doing?
I was in logistics. So,
right, okay.
Yeah, like distribution and logistics and scheduling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And what were you building on the side?
Well, I didn't know at the time. So like we were saying about my network, I had no idea. I just knew I didn't want to be in a job.
Yeah.
I had a moment where I felt very vulnerable, where I was the only income. I haven't got any qualifications apart from a GCSE in PE. And yeah, I nearly lost my job because I was going through a grievance with one of the bigger managers. I'd experienced being thrown under a bus by a co-worker. I was quite naive to trust people at the time. You know, you learn from experience, right? And I remember going outside and I rang my partner and I said, I've got to get out, because I just had a wake up moment, and it was a real stressful time because my parents weren't able to support us. Like if something happened, I was the only breadwinner at the time and we didn't have any money. And I was like, I didn't realise that someone who I thought was fine with me threw me under a bus for their, you know, leverage in the company. And now I'm going through the stress of having to fight the system when I shouldn't really be fighting it. So I felt very vulnerable, to which is then I went on this whole, I'm getting out my job. I didn't know what business I was going to build. Long story into a short one, I networked all the time in London, and I just built a great network of just meeting people with no real agenda. And you find out successful people want to help you out. And I've just had a huge amount of help from people and introduced, and it led me into finance. So.
Wow. So you started building a finance brokerage.
Like an unregulated one where I would raise private investment for all different types of projects, from startup companies to like multi-asset developments to finding very unique things like cask whiskey, you know, for family offices. I worked with one very well-known family office in London, which was like finding freehold buildings with very specific details. And I got very good at doing that in a short period of time because I become very obsessive about things. And I was able to charge large commissions because I got good and I got very efficient.
Okay.
And
so how did you, because going from the job that you had, this is very different to what you've built.
yeah.
And so, and you said like you didn't have qualifications. So I'm like listening to that going, well, how on earth did you know what you were doing to raise the finance, to find the opportunities? Was this all learnt from networking?
Yeah, so it was learning, it was asking a lot of questions. I've always asked a lot of questions and I've been very confident, and I am a people's person. Like, I'll talk to anyone. But, you know, there's many moments I would drive to work and I would listen to Audible. Like, I talk about it a lot in my content, but I've done something like 198 books, 199 books now on Audible.
Yeah.
And, you know, shout out to a very close friend of mine now called Andrew Craig, who's the author of How to Own the World and several other books, which is a bestseller. I remember listening to his book to understand money in layman's terms without big words and stuff like that. So I would listen to all these types of books on my commute to work, when I was at work. You know, I've managed to do videos on YouTube where I've exposed how I would build a business whilst being paid from my employer. So I was constantly learning. I didn't know any of this. I didn't know how to raise money. I didn't know about AML checks. I just, you know, again, when people say, oh, it's another person telling you what they've done, but they don't tell you how to do it. My answer to these people, learn. I'm a very, very big believer in learn, because there's no excuses. You know, I can get into some real punchy stuff about very strong opinions that I have. I wanted to learn something, I went out and I learned it, and then I applied it, and I applied it until it worked. So,
and you did that without any particular means as well, like funding?
Had no
cash.
funding. Yeah, like I would spend our leftover money on a train ticket. When people say, oh, well, okay, so might be people, let's play the other side quickly. There might be people going, well, how do you meet investors, wealthy people? Book a train ticket and go into London and get in for 8 a.m. and go to business meetings. You can get them for free, Eventbrite, Google, LinkedIn, meet people and spend the whole day in London. And when you're in London, you realise there's money everywhere.
Yes.
You know, I didn't even know. You know, someone who used to bang around on the council estate, you know, I had a skinhead half my life. I'm covered in tattoos. I didn't talk like this, you know, 12, 13 years ago, whatever it was. I had to teach myself everything. And I had no resources. So, you know, I'm sure we'll get into it. But I have very strong opinions that there's no reason why people can't change their lives. They can't learn things. They can't learn how to do raising money, building a business, whatever it is, getting out of a job. It's all teachable.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question just on that then about, because I totally agree, it's all teachable. And I think it can be one of the biggest barriers for a lot of people is mindset. So, you know, believe, well, it happened for him, I won't be able to make it happen. Do you know, like for me, that's a kind of real, we all can learn, definitely. And then how we apply that and our belief in ourselves. Because my mum and dad are very similar, very normal, working class, worked hard, did the best what they could with their money. So in terms of like you learning, oh, but I can achieve, like where do you think that came from, that example, that push forward for you as like, well, I can do this?
It is 90% mindset.
Yeah.
It really is. The application is methodical, it's systematic. You know, you learn to do something day in, day out, like, you know, losing weight or whatever it might be, going to the gym. That's a system, like a process you follow. But the belief to keep going when things get really tough, I find, and I work with over 190 people in my education side of the business, and I've done many one-to-ones. So I have a real good understanding and many webinars like we've all done. Right? I've done mastermind in person, all this kind of stuff. I've spoken with many people. There is a common thing, right, or a theme, right, with certain people who don't end up doing things.
Yeah.
They're a little bit too comfortable. They don't have something scary enough to force them to do it.
Okay.
And they haven't yet seen a consequence, or they don't know what their consequence is. So, for example, people will stuff their face of pizza and drugs and drink, but it's only when the doctor says, I'm really sorry, you've got about 3 months to live, just your habit. And then they want to go back. So they didn't have something that scared them enough to do the thing. So there's normally like pivotal moments in someone's life that you could look back and think, I ended up doing it because that scared me so much. Me feeling vulnerable, scared of, oh my God, if I lose my job, I'm constantly at the mercy of an employer. Yeah. And this could last me for 40 years. Having a son very early or going through a health scare. It's like there's a great book called I Know What to Do, So Why Don't I Do It? So the people that I don't believe they've had that scary moment yet. They're a little bit too comfortable. Like when people come to me and say, I don't want to be in my job. Okay, join the queue. There's about 3.6 billion people in the world that don't want a job. But what are you willing to do?
Yeah.
What is going to scare you enough to do it? So I think the mindset really needs a why. It needs a really horrible fear, something that really scares you. And then also to be very conscious of your consequence, like the repercussion if you don't do the thing that needs doing.
As in, like, in the future?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I think one thing, right, which I talk to people, and I do understand it's something very different of someone my age. When I was in my 20s, I remember thinking about it when I listened to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I remember thinking about what will my life look like at 60? I actually sat there and I thought about what my life would look like as a 20-year-old. How much will I have in my pension? What will I own?
Mm-hmm.
If my partner leaves me, if something horrible happens to my child and I'm left on my own, I don't have family, if my parents pass away and I'm on my own, what can I afford?
Yeah.
If I wet myself as an old 75-year-old man, am I going to be in some horrid folks' home? Will I get kicked to the curb? Will someone drag me in bed because they're... So I really took myself to the worst place.
Okay, so you visualised actually
the
worst scenario.
Yeah, because then you can come back to reality and go, right, I need to make a plan. Like, I have very good investments for a 33-year-old when I talk to other people in their 30s. They have no investments like I have as a 33-year-old.
Yeah.
I made sacrifices and I took myself in my early 20s to where I wanted to be, came back to reality and then started making a plan and started attacking that plan. Because again, just going back to it, I had my why, which was my son. I didn't want to struggle with money. And the consequence, if I don't do the really hard stuff now in my 20s, will be I'll be like everyone else on London Bridge, 9 a.m. in a three-piece suit, rushing back. In this, the rat race is real. You can see it. If you stop and pause and you look at London Bridge at 9 and 5, it's horrific. I mean, it's really scary. It's so real, and people are deluded. Like they are so programmed. So I didn't want to be a part of that.
No.
So I made a plan, and then obviously here we are today.
I actually love that technique of a bad visualization almost. It's like not what we're always taught to visualize what you want, but I love that.
But again, it's like a lot of my content. Why do I get millions of views? Because I talk about the things that people want to skirt around. I talk about things which are push and pull, vinegar on a wound. I'm willing to talk about things because I'm unapologetically authentic. I will say stuff and I don't care if people get upset. I'm not bothered. No one's knocking at my door.
Which is very unusual nowadays, actually.
Yeah. And, it's within the lines. Like, it's not nasty. It's not like, it's not attacking anyone, but I'm willing to talk about the things that we are putting the blinkers on.
Yeah.
And of course, with that, you'll always have the ones that outright disagree. They're not having it. They do not accept what you're saying because it is a reflection of their reality. And that's kind of what's moulded me to the person that I am today. I'm very aware because I've gone to the worst place. I've accepted what could be and I've said, I'm having none of it.
Yeah.
So...
I get that totally. So just when you quit your job and what is your plan in your head with the finance, the unregulated finance brokerage? What is your plan at that point?
I was just cash stacking. I've got to be honest. I kept it very quiet from my job. So for context for anyone listening, I was very good at applying self-mastery. So I didn't get caught up in the emotions of, I was making my own money now. I was pushing close at 24, I was pushing close to six figures outside of my job. Plus I was on like a 28k salary. So I was doing well and I wasn't spending money. I still drove a little, pants car and no one knew, everyone was none the wiser. I'm not materialistic. I don't buy materials. This is Next. This is Boohoo or Primark, one of the two, and, so no one knew. So I kept it very quiet. I blocked everyone on social media. So all I was doing, I was just cash stacking and I was planning my exit. I was using my employer. I was using them like they were using me.
Did you block everyone on social media for less distraction, everything. Do you mean? Or
no, so they couldn't see me building because I did need to be on LinkedIn. I needed to start moving myself on Instagram, Facebook groups and with phone numbers, like it all interlinked. So as soon as someone would join the company, I'd be like, oh, what was their name? I'd be like, block, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I would just block them. So to minimize, them ruining, because one thing you find out when you build a company, when you're in a job, that's saying to co-workers, by the way, I'm getting out and you're going to stay here. Yeah. There's a great quote. A lion never roars before the hunt. A lion roars after the kill. And I love that because it's about moving in silence.
Yeah.
And I've always moved in silence. I'm on social media, but no one knows nothing about my life. Move in silence, and that way you protect your peace. And I did that all throughout my 9 to 5. And I didn't feel the need to prove a point. And then one day I had an email from HR, peed me off, and I went, bugger it, I'm off. I just left. That was it. I never went back. And yeah, I'd managed to, make a good amount of money in my 20s. I'd invested well as well. So that helped. I had good savings, good emergency funds, a maintenance fund, a floating fund.
Wow.
I was featured in, quite a few papers across the UK for having 33 bank accounts. Got more now.
Really? Yeah,
because my structure, and I've managed money very well. And I've done that. Think about that. I've done that over the last, before I was 20, I was still managing my money very well. But for the 13 years, I've just compounded all my money, which is why when people say to me, well, when you leave college and uni, you should go traveling the world. I say no. Grind, build, sustain, and then you go wherever you want.
Yeah, afterwards.
Not bugger off on daddy and mummy's money and then come back and still live with daddy and mummy.
Yeah.
I go where I want when I want now.
Yeah.
We go on lovely holidays. We've been on 5 holidays this year. Going to Disney in about a week and a half now. Build, sustain, live humble, and that's the key.
And sorry, the 33 bank accounts, was that about different pots for different things ultimately? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I have a whole video. The news picked it up and the radio and stuff like that because of the structure. I broke down exactly how it happens. And when people hear me say that, they're like, how can you have that many bank accounts? You can have as many as you want. Yeah. I don't know where this whole thing you can only have 2. You can have as many as you want. You can have 100 if you want, if you can be bothered.
Yeah.
You can have as many as you want.
So when did you quit? Did you exit the finance brokerage? What happened then?
No, I still took it over today.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't push it anymore, and it's pretty much an automation. I do recycling. So when investors all investors have certain terms. So it's like a yearly thing or, quarterly for some of them. And it's just it all recycles. It's paperwork now.
Yeah.
So that kind of really set me on the path, but it is boring. Which is why when I started talking about it online, I was like, I don't really want to be talking about it. I wrote a book. I did, I started my whole social journey about that. And then I pivoted. And obviously when I pivoted, it just, everything popped for me on socials.
So why did you pivot? Why did you start talking, educating people online? What was did you one day go, I'm just going to start helping other people, or what happened there?
Do you know what it was? I saw so many men who were suppressed in the 9 to 5. I'm a very clouty guy. I keep myself to myself now. I'm very extroverted, but I do live more of an introverted life. Me and Jason joke about it, but, we don't really want to see anyone. Me and Jason will see each other and we do a lot of activity throughout the year. We do a lot of challenges. We spend a lot of time together. But other than that, we don't want to see anyone. I don't want to see anyone. And so I wanted to start talking about how men end up being suppressed in the workplace. Because I've worked with big guys, right? Bigger guys than me. Big beards, massive hands, huge guys. And I've seen tiny little squirt managers talk down to him and then they cower. And I'm like, I think, imagine if your wife could see you. It's embarrassing, man up. And then so I started expressing that online. I was saying the reason they put up with it is because they're in survival mode.
Yeah.
5 days a week, suppressed, loss of identity, pretending to be a character, fitting in, moulding to who they need to be to keep an £1,800 salary.
Yeah, feeling like they have no other options ultimately.
No other options. Yeah. And then they convince themselves that they need a job. So I started to talk about it and it really started to resonate with people, and men started saying, that's how I feel. And women started saying, that's what my husband's like. He comes home, he snaps at us, he snaps at the children, we won't talk to us. And it all stems from money management. So I started talking about that, and then I started talking about things that I did in the workplace. I started calling out managers on, poor leadership, and it just started to take off. And then I did one video which was called Last One In, First One Out. And I spoke about, I was always the last one in and the first one out. I've never understood why people get to a workplace 15 minutes early to have a coffee. Have a coffee at home with your family. So I started to talk about that. And of course, I had the corporate conformers who were like, oh, I will die on the shield for my employer, who I'm so grateful to have a job.
Yeah.
And then, other people are like, I love this guy. I need to hear this. This is how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm fed up of it.
Seen.
I mean, the stats, we won't go into it, but but people are becoming incredibly miserable. And now that the information is circulating, and we know that we can get out of a job, and we know that most of it is lies, people are getting fed up.
Yeah.
And I'm here to drive that party. Not everyone's going to leave a job, but I know that.
And it isn't for everyone, is it? Also, totally.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But don't complain if you're not willing to do something about it. I don't want to hear that you're being bullied because you're the enabler. I don't want to hear that you've got a micro. I don't care. Do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do something about it in work or sort it outside of work.
Yeah.
That's my view on it.
Yeah.
I have so many people say, Aaron, I'm getting bullied by a manager. Okay, deal with it in work. If not, set aside some money and deal with it outside of work. Then your problem goes away. You're enabling it. Deal with it. And people go, oh, you can't say that. Right, well, I don't want to hear you moaning about it. I don't want to hear about it. Enough.
Yeah.
Very strong views on it.
I love it. So the education, so you've got a program called Breakthrough. So you also dedicate a lot of time to helping people.
So it's like two entities. So it's under Knightley Education, and it's the Breakout program, which is very in depth. It's been super successful, and the TikTok growth program, which basically is turning the whole passion into profit, is really teaching people how to use these SEO search engines to become an authority figure and generate, commercial revenue. I'm not here to teach people how to, be a vanity creator. I'm talking about educating, inspiring people, bringing communities together, building something sustainable, and becoming a person of authority where you can go on to commercialize. Because that's what I've done. Oh my God, I've been featured on everything. Like, my PR deck and it's great, and I've been able to do so much, and I've only just not even scratching the surface.
Yeah.
So I teach people how to do that, and the great thing is I'm in the thick of it. So when people work with me, they're like the real deal. Well, and I'd already become financially comfortable before I bought out an education company. Mm-hmm. Although, you still get the whole, like we all do, although we're in this great transition, the whole scammer and all this, and it's people are going to realise that shops are shutting down. You have to move with the times. And unfortunately, you get branded. That's the other thing. As soon as you teach, you get branded something. But again, water for ducks back.
Yeah. So I've never actually spoke about this on the podcast at all, social media and the way that you're utilising it. So prior to starting the conversation, you mentioned the amount of money you've earned from socials in the past year.
24 when we take into consideration the bulk coming from TikTok.
Yeah.
The revenue, it's just over 24 months.
Wow. Okay. So can we just delve into a little bit about how you've utilised TikTok? Because I know lots of people listening to this will be, okay, TikTok's just for doom scrolling, random things, TikTok shop.
Yeah.
So how have you used it?
So I didn't want to do any of the affiliate stuff. Like if I'm going to sell something, I want to sell 100% of something I own. So, by the way, I didn't have this figured out in the beginning.
You didn't?
No, I didn't have it all figured out. I definitely knew the great thing is I've shown so much of this, in terms of documenting. I remember when I started on TikTok and I started to get traction, I wrote down a list of companies that I wanted to work with. And I said, I want to work with all these big companies. And I had Moneybox on there, Tide, Banking, NatWest, Adobe. I had all these companies that would complement my message and my face and what I could do. And I've done about 95% of these companies.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've worked with Adobe, I've worked with Starling, I've worked with Tide, I've worked with ICAU, the biggest chartered accountancy.
Yeah.
I've worked with loads of them. I'm working with eToro, Trading 212.
And did you reach out to them?
So in the beginning, I was super proactive, yeah. I hired a VA, again, rather than going out for restaurant meals and spending all this money looking like I'm a player, I would put my money into outsourcing a team.
Yeah.
With this investment raise, we're not taking profit.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But all of that is going on tech co-founders, all of it. Peak performance, non-profit, not taking a penny from it, all into the business to keep growing it because I have sustainability, right? So, and my socials is great residual income now. But yeah, I basically realised that if I was willing to put myself in front of these people and keep showing up, someone's going to listen eventually. And I was growing very quickly. So I knew very soon. On TikTok.
Yeah, okay.
And I knew soon I was going to start getting inbounds for my face and my voice. And I knew that if I could increase the chances of me getting brand deals by me being proactive, and I hired my VA, I gave a list of all the companies I wanted to work with, and I said, LinkedIn, emails, DMs, do it all. And I started to get them coming back and said, yeah. And then it was negotiation of price. And then I rang up my mate, Benji Leslie, who runs Connect Management, like one of the biggest content management companies in the UK. I said, how much should I be charging? And he's like, well, it's always hard, but you can go under our management. But he was like, mate, you're so business minded. There's no point us taking 20%. So my first brand deal was like £75 for just one video.
Right.
And then it got up to like 150 for a branded video. And as of today, I've got several brands on the go at the moment. I can now charge up to £5,000 for a 60-second video.
Really?
And they don't question it. Yeah, because it's my face and my voice. And it's not about how many views you get. It's engagement. My live stream now, I don't know how many people it'll have over the duration of this live stream, but the comments, people are loyal. It's like die-hard fans. And when I do content, I mean, you go on any of my TikTok, look at the comments. Listening ears. I hold the biggest asset, which is attention, and then I know how to convert the attention. So companies want to pay for that. They don't want to pay for likes.
Yeah.
I've got friends that are like 8 million on Instagram and TikTok. They're still in full-time jobs. Haven't made a penny. They've done a couple of bits and bobs here and there.
So why is that? Because
it's just likes.
Okay.
Likes don't pay the bills.
Okay.
I have really nailed down, so the hook, like attention, solution, validation equals my conversion. So I get their attention, I provide the solution, they validate me, and then it turns into a conversion. That ecosystem could be anywhere from a week to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
But right now, people are watching hundreds of hours of me right now on YouTube. People are watching hundreds of hours of me right now and everything has a funnel and everything's automated and workflow. And so, it takes, obviously it's taken a while to get there, but yeah.
How long has it taken to get there?
Well, with, shout out to Jason, like with Jason's help, I'm just working very closely with Jason and also being in business. We have built a business ecosystem for me, which would probably take someone 3-4 years, and we've condensed it into like 18 months. So I have an entire ecosystem that happens without me doing anything.
Amazing.
Which is great. And now it's just my job as the marketer to churn it out. But yeah, like a lot of speaking gigs now, I'm being paid a significant amount of money next week to come back into London to talk at a marketing event for 25 minutes. It's probably the equivalent of my old manager's salary for 2 months. I'm doing a 25-minute talk.
Okay, wow.
So, it gets silly and it gets almost like laughable, but I do have friends earning far more than me who are very commercialised as creators. Like Arshdeep Sunny, you won't mind me saying this, did Cineworld recently, and that was a 6-figure pay packet.
Really?
Just for doing a Cineworld advert. Yeah, 6 figures.
Oh my gosh.
You could take the next year and a half off or 2 years just for doing Cineworld.
And can I ask why you chose TikTok as the platform? Like, why not Instagram?
Instagram's not an SEO, so it's not organically growing.
Okay.
TikTok I know a lot about. So obviously I've spent a lot of time at the HQ. I've been invited to things, I do talks and that for TikTok. I understand the platform. Like, so for example, I can actually show you on my other phone and we can show you the camera, right? So check this out. So this was a video I posted this morning in the car. So this is the big difference. It's on 35K. So this was the video I did this morning. We show the camera. So when you go on Insights.
So to clarify, you've just created that on the fly this morning?
Yeah, I do all organic. The For You page, 98.8% new people. Only 0.6 who follow me, and I've got 500,000 followers. 0.6 follow me, have seen that video. 98.8% have never seen my face before, which is why you can beat the same drum and become an expert. Every time you post, it's always above 80% because the platform is taking on so many users a month. It's 10 years behind YouTube, but it's growing twice as fast as YouTube, and it's an SEO platform. So when people go to the search bar, they're searching, and I rank for everything. So up here, I rank for everything. So I'm...
As in like keywords that you want to... Yeah.
So Instagram doesn't have a search engine.
No.
That's why it's hard to break out the bubble. I broke out the bubble earlier this year and I'm growing. I'm nearly at 100K and, I'll be at whatever. I'm growing fast on YouTube.
Yeah.
You have to understand the SEO. You have to understand the algorithm in terms of really niching to attack your avatar. And I've done that so well. So I know I'm pinpointing my exact people, which then when you understand common questions, you can start funneling people. And I collect huge amounts of data. So again, my workflow, I collect probably up to 200 emails, phone numbers, names, how much they earn, where they live, male, female, their biggest problem. I probably do 200 pieces of data a day.
Oh, wow.
So my newsletter goes out to thousands and thousands, which is why when we launched this tech company, luckily I've got friends around me who have sold tech companies anyway, but I have such a large database to get our 30,000 downloads, plus my audience, plus my 4 investors who have big socials themselves. It's like, you know, you end up on a winning streak.
Yeah.
But TikTok, that's why I don't spend any time doing other things. I dominated TikTok.
When you say you don't spend any other time doing it, what do you mean by that? Like other platforms?
Yeah, I just obsessed about TikTok.
Okay.
When I realised you could grow quick and it's an SEO platform, it's hitting mainstream media, banks are using it, banks are advertising it. It was at the Super Bowl. It's, you know, like when you see it on TV and it's being mentioned in radio, you have to listen. Like Instagram, you know, I watch people on Instagram, they've not grown. And then you start seeing their content being like, oh, you know, it's not about having the biggest audience on Instagram. Doesn't matter. You know, it's more about, no, you need to grow. Like you, because you're posting to the same people and they're not buying. You have to grow. And Instagram doesn't give you that fair exchange of return on investment. So everything that I do, like coming up here today, I'm going to ask for the footage.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut the footage up and I'm going to get paid. If a video does $1 million, I'll get paid £1,000. So the clips will earn me a lot of money. So there's a fair exchange for this. I have to do everything now on a return on time invested. So everything, including the social media platforms, has to make sense.
Yeah. And for anybody that's listening now is going, oh my God, this sounds amazing. I need to start talking about my business on TikTok. I didn't realise this was such a place to be seen and blow up. When you just said then, like, you'll cut up the clips and you might get paid £1,000 just for anybody that... So is that from TikTok? Is that from advertisers? Is that...
So that's like the RPM. So it's like revenue per mil. So there's a few metrics. I get paid a higher amount because I have a high click-through rate, just like YouTube. People watch me because I understand how to keep people hooked for a 1.5 minute or a 2-minute video. Even upload my full YouTube videos now, several days later, after I fed YouTube. People will actually watch me to the end of the video rather than being a 3-second swipe.
Okay.
Because again, I've crafted an audience that are loyal to watch the whole thing because I'm addressing a problem, I'm providing a solution, and I'm doing it in a way which... push and pull. People will be like, oh, I'm watching this. He's kind of peeing me off, but I kind of want to see what he says. And then I convert people and they're like, okay, I kind of get what he's going on about. Because that's, you know, so like people will watch me for a whole video pretty much. That's quite rare. So my click-through rate is high. So my revenue per mil is higher. So I earn more money per video than someone else who's like comedy or doing a vlog or something like that. And then obviously there's the upsells. So, you know, I don't know how, maybe we could pop it up, maybe I'll provide you with something, but like the 2 videos, and I've got Jason to also thank for the structure of it, but like my 2 videos on YouTube that I did were tutorials, generated over 28,000, just 2 videos on my, because of the way that I'd done it, because of the way that I structured 2 YouTube videos, led to 28, well, it was in gross of 28,000, all automated, didn't do anything.
From people purchasing from you?
All through the workflow upsell.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was, you know, so when you start seeing this is why you lean towards personal branding. This is why Gary Vee talks, this is why Daniel Priestley talks, this is why Jason talks about it. You know, Jason's never made so much money than he has, as he's done on YouTube. You know, Jason's invested into his studio and everything he does over 200 grand. You know, Jason is a very, very efficient and intelligent investor. You have to listen to these things and you have to see what the platforms are doing. And TikTok is in its infancy and people are going on there asking how to do this. So go and give them the answers in detailed answers. And you grow. I wouldn't waste any time on Instagram. Total waste of time. Yeah, I wouldn't waste it.
When you say give them the detailed answers, just to clarify for anyone listening, you mean then in the thing that they purchase on the back, so the course or the teaching, or do you mean like in the video?
The teaching in the video. So give away everything. So my motto is very much the same as Jason's. Give everything and people will pay you for implementation. Give everything in a video. But also there's an element, not everyone can do this because boring doesn't work. I've worked with a lot of people and bless them, a lot of them are great. But also there's some people that will just never quite get off the ground because it's just too boring. And that's just the truth. And unless there's a personality change and you can change your character and you can learn how to
like play up a bit,
if you can understand how to hook people in, if you can't do that, you have to create a divide. You have to have people that go, I cannot stand what this person is saying because it's an insecurity, it's a reflection, vinegar on a wound, or the people that go, I needed that. I get that every day on all my, Aaron, I needed this. I've got a whole folder of nice comments, which I'll put into like content and stuff like this. And you have to you can't have people go, meh, what was that? I don't really know. I find it painful when I see people on Instagram posting, not that I watch, but if it does pop up, if I'm on one of my, like my breakout, my TikTok, and someone comes up and it's a video and they've just posted it because they need to get something out. You have no idea what they're going on about. The body doesn't make sense. And then it's a random cut off ending. And you're like, what? You know, it's very odd. Again, and then it comes down to you wasted your time.
Yeah.
Like when I clip this up, and I'll invite you to collab on all of them, it will have a hook. Everyone will know in the first 3 seconds what I'm talking about. There won't be a random video. Everything will be for maximum viewership.
Yeah. So you are obviously extremely educated on this process and how to maximize it. Somebody listening today now is like, oh, wow, I didn't realize TikTok was such a opportunity. I want to start for my business, whatever my message is. Obviously, they're not going to be perfect in the beginning, but like, what advice would you give to someone now that's go, I want to jump on that? I can do it.
Just understand your message. I think that's the first thing to understand. Don't just try and start posting random stuff, because it's about teaching the algorithm. That's the other thing. You need to post content which is within a tight sort of, you know, within a niche. You can't broaden too much because you're never going to grow, because the platform is basically saying, great, teach me, who am I going to? So you have to keep banging and beating the same drum and just loosely kind of talking around that one subject. I would always say volume. Start posting in volume and don't look for perfection, because it doesn't come. The great thing with TikTok, it's very forgiving. It's not like YouTube where you have to have a setup, the lights, the camera. It is, you know, some of my biggest videos that have generated me on-platform revenue and offline revenue and led on to new opportunities are the ones where I go into the gym, I plug in a mic, and I just go in the workplace, blah, blah, blah. And I talk about a subject, you know, I have a list of things that I like to talk about. And a lot of the messages are the same. I just reframe them.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's, again, because as you saw, 98% of new people, I know that if I say a very similar thing, those who saw me yesterday, they're not going to see it today. It's going to be new people. You know, I've been featured on the TV. I've had, you know, like I did a video series. I did part 3 yesterday. I'm a regular now on BBC Radio, talking about the workplace with Kay Adams and McCann. No, is it Fern McCann? Yeah, I think it is. The lady, Sussex Radio, BBC Radio. I think it is, something like that. And Kay Adams you know.
I know who you mean.
So, yeah, and I talk about the workplace, and they get me on because I got the attention around that space, and then it leads on to other things. I had I was offered the ITV show and all this kind of stuff, and you just start, but volume's key, and become obsessed with it. If you don't want to become obsessed with it, that's just my opinion. You're probably not going to do that great.
Okay.
I was posting 5-6 times a day for 6 months, and until I blew up, I'd already done over 900 posts.
Oh my gosh!
I'd done over 3,000 posts on Instagram before my page has now finally blown up. My YouTube, I'd already done 1,200 before. This year is the year that my YouTube's taken off. I've done over 30,000 subs this year. I'm trying to push to 80,000 by the end of the year. I've done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of posts. So to anyone listening, it's a ride. You've got to buckle up.
And for anyone listening that goes, yeah, but Aaron, I don't have a team. I don't have a content team. Like, did you start with people cutting it up and doing it all?
No, I did it all myself.
Okay.
Didn't have a pot. Didn't have a penny. Didn't have anything. I had to do it all myself on iMovie, slow buffering, you know, on CapCut, you know, doing it on my phone. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done all the reason I have very strong views. I came from nothing. Mm-hmm. Like if you go and dig and you find all the content and it's all blooming out there. Look at what I look like. Look at who I used to hang around with. It's all out there. Look at me, like with when I was a boxer and like licensed, you know, like the kiddies I used to hang around with, you know, like holding a big pit bull and with like you can go find it. It's all I put it all out there. I didn't have a pot. I was a very different person 12, 13 years ago. Could have gone down a very different path.
Yeah.
Imagine me with a skinhead, you know, like I'm covered in tattoos under this. And
you just started.
I just started. But again, why? I had my fear, and I had my consequence.
Yeah, I love that.
I refuse to retire at 70. I'm pretty much done now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that was it. So you can do everything without resources.
Yeah. And I just wanted to ask another TikTok question, as much for me as I'm sure some of the listeners will.
Yeah.
If people are thinking, yeah, but isn't it just, I don't know, people between 20 and 30 that hang around on TikTok, but my demographic, like, what do you say to that?
I've got people in my TikTok growth program who I've taken from zero, nada, no brand, no business, nothing, just with an idea. 6-figure earners I have now. Again, you can go on my TikTok growth program Instagram page, go onto the highlight reels, have a look at what they're earning. Holly Sayers does like 2K a day. She's like one of my highest earners. James Merrill.
On TikTok?
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw her on your... Is she aesthetics?
That's right, yeah.
I saw her on your... Okay.
Yeah, she's one of my biggest earners. James Merrill, he's one of my biggest earners. He hit national papers. Came to me January the 3rd, incredibly frustrated because of an ordeal with the NHS and stuff like this. Ended up... he was one of my biggest earners in 4 months. He'd done over 40,000 in revenue. We got him national papers, and because he's very obsessive as well. Like, again, there's common things between people who do very well. Mark Crossfield, who's going to do very well, he's in both of my programs. He's a 3-time member of mine. He's in my membership as well. He's going to do very well because he's obsessed. I'm up at 4:30. I messaged this morning in my group, and I put, you know, in the group about me going to the gym. I've got this tier 1 group. And as soon as I put this morning, this was at 4:35,
yeah.
Mark's already up. He's already up. And there's me on the treadmill scheduling my YouTube posts.
Yeah.
You know, like, so if you're willing to become obsessed with it, and you haven't got to do this for like years. This is the other thing. I turn around to people and say, sleep less. Sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. When I was working a 10-hour shift, I'd work before my shift, during my work. I'd go to the gym. I had a household. I had bills to pay. I still made time for family. And I came home and I worked from midnight till 2, 3 in the morning. And then I was back up at 6:30. And people go, oh, but that's so unhealthy. I don't know. I look pretty good. You know, I don't know. I did it for several years. I slept for 4 or 5 hours a night. I'm good. Don't think I'm getting Alzheimer's. I haven't got dementia. I'm good. I'm really healthy. Got my BCAs, my creatine. I train twice a day. Oh, it's all nonsense. I don't have time. Oh, you can't. It's unhealthy. Someone online said you must have 8 hours a night. No, you'll be fine if you sleep 5 hours a night for 3 years. You'll be fine. Nothing will happen to you. Eat clean and drink clean. Mm-hmm. And all the people that say it's not healthy, they're the ones slobbing as well. You know, It's like I have an answer for everything. Thanks, Mum. That's my mum.
You've just reminded me. I wanted to ask you about something that's probably quite of a trigger to some people potentially. But we were talking about that. You said you live humbly, and that actually, even though you could live much more extravagantly if you wanted to, you've chosen not to. And you made a comment there that what you spend per month hasn't changed since you've had your little boy,
Yeah.
And I was just intrigued as to your perspective on all of that, because obviously everybody goes, oh my God, cost of living, it's going up, I need to earn more money, I have less money. And your take on that was very different, because you were saying that yours hasn't gone up.
Yeah. So I don't know if the camera can dive in here, but I'm going to share that with you. If you just take a look at that, right?
Yeah.
If you just have a look at that one, right?
So weekly spend, yeah.
Have a look on that, right? So this is what people will spend weekly.
Categories. Okay, so like takeaways, daily
There's
coffees,
12 categories there.
Lottery tickets.
Even if people only spend on 6, half of it. And if you have a look at the total number at the bottom there, right, what does that rack up to? So
total weekly spend is 235 to 370. Total annual waste is like 12k to 19k.
Yeah. So, and then we go, what you could spend your money on, right? Personal development,
Yeah.
the gym, all this kind of stuff. You could spend the exact same on investments and all this kind of stuff.
Healthy food, networking.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that
And
is...
it's the same
It's the
amount.
same, right? And then you've got a slide here, right? And I did a video about this recently, which is why I've got them here, right? The power of compounding, right? And saving £5 a week. So there's... When people turn around and say, oh, you know, I haven't got any money because of the cost of living, I go, okay, cool. I want to see your finances. Or what do you mean? I want to see where your money goes. How much do you earn a week? A month, £2,000, right? And you got your bills are 1,100, something like that. Okay, so you got 700. Where's that going? Oh, it's none of your business. No, I want to have a look. Okay, so you're a drinker. You smoke, right? Have you got children? Yeah. Okay, disgusting. Because you have children. I have very strong opinions on that.
When you have children,
yeah. Like, I don't get it. Why would you have children and smoke a cancer stick? I don't get it, right? You want to be around for your kids, right? And that annoys people. But again, you know, is what it is. It's the truth. You've got children, you smoke. Don't get it. But people go, oh, well, it's an addiction, right? Whatever. Now, you spend all that money on all these other things. The cost of living. Why is there always a queue in JD? I always use this. There's always a queue in JD for trainers. There's always a queue. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is. Was there a cost of living crisis when England were playing at the World Cup, or in the Euros? Every week, the pubs were rammed.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Beer, drugs, alcohol.
Shit food.
But hang on. You haven't got. You're gas and you haven't got money for gas and lecky and white lightning. Hang on a minute. You've just been in the toilet doing Charlie. How much that cost you? So it's, you know, it's like priorities. And again, we could break this down. It's like you do have the money, and it's like private medical care. 90% of people could afford private medical care. Like private, but that's only for the toffees on London Bridge. No, it's not. Private medical care is probably about £7,000 a year for a family of four. It's about 50, 70 quid a month. You can get packages with Aviva or AXA.
Yeah.
No, stop going out for takeaways.
Yeah.
And put your money into private medical care. And then when you get diagnosed with something, your child gets diagnosed, you can be seen that day.
Yeah.
But I like my, I like my takeaway though. Okay, well, don't complain. Don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
It's the government. It's Keir Starmer. It's the taxes in England. It's everyone else's fault other than their own. Mm-hmm. And that's why I don't interact with too many people.
Yeah.
Because I voice my opinions. And they go, what a pompous twat. Mm. Well, I came from nothing and I seem to have done okay.
Yeah.
So what's your excuse? That's my honest outlook.
Yeah. No,
and that pees some people off.
Yeah, no, I can totally imagine, and I totally agree with you. I mean, for a lot of people, whether they know it or not, it's distraction, isn't it? They're doing this stuff for distraction. And I'm not saying like the people listening to this, you know, are just wasting all their money on drink and drugs and stuff. But if someone's actually... Because you're basically saying that even just like on a very normal average salary, you can still save, you can still...
Of course.
And just for those people like, I don't know, I enjoy the takeaway coffee. It makes me feel good in the morning. Like, what do you say to people? Because I do also get it. You know, if they're having a bad day, they might go, I'm just doing this
totally
as a treat. Like,
look,
what's your kind of...
I'm human, but it's in moderation. It's like sacrifices. It's just being realistic, you know. Like, let's, you know, for all the people that think I'm an absolute arse right now, well, let's just bring it back. Because, again, it's like water off a duck's back. I've heard every kind of angle from this. And it's like, I have a takeaway. I have a cheap meal. You know, I used to go out and, you know, we would decompress after a stressful week. But it's in moderation, and it's leveling against what you're complaining against. If you're complaining that you don't like something, but your habits are keeping you in this situation of victim mentality, something's got to give. Mm-hmm. And you have to take ownership. You can't always have an outlook of, well, it's everyone else's fault. Yeah. And, you know, I deserve to have this. And, I should be able to have that because other people have it. And why shouldn't I? That's fine, but don't complain. So it's like, going through periods of sacrificing and delayed gratification is just something that humans can't seem to do.
Yeah.
You can save money. So again, this whole, I have a breakdown. I'm not going to go over it again, but...
Well, I would love you to just like, what would your, you know, someone's running a business, they're earning okay, but they're actually not saving, they're not making any progress. Like, what would be your advice and strategy?
Well, I would always say having cash in the bank is great. So number one for me is saving. because I loved a saying by Morgan Housel. I did a review video on YouTube about this. It was a guy who was talking about, you can save your way out of a 9 to 5 and you can empower yourself. Again, what I talk a lot about is that when you save money, this whole, it gets eroded by inflation. I can't stand to listen to it, because unless you're a big investor, it's minute. Like, unless you've got millions of quid, like it's sitting in a bank and you really want to look at interest rate, fine. But if you're saving just a few thousand or a few hundred, I wouldn't worry about inflation. Like, it's not going anywhere. But when you save, you buy independence, and you're buying comfort. You're becoming liquid in your movement. Like, you have options, whether it's to buy yourself time to do something, whether you make some money in your first little side hustle, save the money, and it allows you to, again, work towards sustainability.
Yeah.
When I say to people, okay, you don't like your situation or you want to start building something, but at the moment you're financially crippled in a way, start saving £2 a week.
Okay.
And the answer, what do you think I get? Well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Well, how much are you saving now? Well, I'm not. Okay. So you're not saving £2, but there's no point because it's only £2. You see, you really, again, going back to the whole mentality, the outlook, you have to be around the right people as well. Like, I think we underestimate the people that are in our heads and in our ears and who we're listening to. And if you're around other people with really bad habits, but you're trying to break through into business, get out of a 9 to 5, get onto social media, find that confidence to step outside your comfort zone, but you're hanging around with Dave and Mary who keep pulling you back and they're draining you. Also you have to be very willing to cut those ties. You have to cut off the negativity, because building a business is hard. Getting out of your job is challenging. Growing on social media requires dedication and obsession. And if you haven't got the right people around you, you're not going to do any of it.
Yeah.
You won't even save money if you're around the right people.
Yeah.
You'll have people wanting to spend it.
Yeah.
I got called boring in my 20s because I didn't spend money. And isn't it ironic now, and it's very common, those people want to know how I do what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, how do you go on holiday so much? Because when you were out clubbing and wasting that money and doing very average things, I went against the norm. And I think we just need to be more conscious of doing that as well. People find it weird if you track your food. I track my food. Yeah. But still society finds that a little bit weird. Like, oh, you're a bit obsessive.
Oh, just have a day
Well, hang on a
off,
minute. I've just seen you do an 18-inch Domino's. and you find it weird that I've tracked my rice and my chicken. And you've done it's like bizarre.
Oh, Aaron, yeah. If there was more people like you around.
It's odd. That's why I don't leave my house.
Yeah.
That's why I don't leave my house. I don't. And
what do you say to your students? Like, if someone is starting from scratch, say they've not been saving, like, what kind of time frame can you start to see the fruits of change? Because I think it's it's like losing weight, isn't it? At the beginning, it's so hard, but then when you get on the scales that day and you've dropped, now you've got, I'm getting momentum and traction. So
yeah. So I guarantee anyone, I'll get them out of a job between 12 and 36 months.
Okay.
And believe it or not, there's some people that go, 36 months. It's like, well, what's the alternative?
Just stay in it.
Just stay in it for the next 40 years. As long as they do everything that I say. Again, it's being very clear on your goal. I'm not here to say to anyone, and a message in this as well, breaking free and living a life of independence and fulfillment and happiness isn't about making £10,000 a month. So I make it very clear, anyone that I talk to, I work with, any social media messages that I put out, it's not about looking at social media thinking you need this glamorized number of £10,000 a month. You don't. I don't need £10,000 a month. You don't. And if you do need £10,000 a month, you've either got an expensive wife or an expensive husband and bad habits.
Yeah.
No one needs £10,000 a month. It's a significant amount of money. But what you can do in 12 to 36 months, you can educate yourself, you can rewire, reframe, and replace a salary, which is an average between $1,500 to $2,100 US, UK. You can replace that. We are in abundance of opportunities. The phone, the laptop, free Wi-Fi, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And if you dedicate and you become obsessed for a condensed, sharp, fast, aggressive period of time with no distractions, you can replace a job. It is totally possible. But again, there's other little, subsidiaries to that. You've got to be around the right people. You've got to value time. You've got to value the money. You've got to manage your salary. You've got to be willing to cut off negativity.
Yeah.
These are all things, all components that add up to the result of you living a life of freedom. Jason always says, always free. I say a life by design. You can. You know, we don't have to conform to, over decades and decades, what has been said. So I always say to people, can absolutely turn your TikTok into a cash cow. You can do it. You can turn your YouTube into a cash cow. Nothing's oversaturated as well. Again, you have to be very careful who you listen to, because there'll be people that say, "Oh, well, I won't start YouTube because it's oversaturated." Why? What are you on YouTube? No. What are you going on about? Why waste your breath? It's like another thing for people to be very careful of. When people say, "I wouldn't start a business because 90% of all businesses fail," do you know how outdated that is? Do you know it's around about 18.6% of businesses now fail?
Yeah.
Because you've got around about 64% of all businesses are online. So the mitigation is huge. There's barely any risk. Zero risk. I can never go bankrupt. I can't. I don't have any overheads. We're in this beauty of P&E, profit and expense, not profit and loss. I'd never want a shop. I don't have any physical products. Or if it is, it's print on demand. The clothing, the fitness clothing is print on demand. My planners are print on demand. The books are on print on demand. I don't touch anything.
Okay.
P&E, profit and expense. It's impossible to go bankrupt. And you all run it through a sole trading company. You don't even need a limited company anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need limited. Oh, you're not a business owner because you haven't got millions going through filings. Do you even understand the concept of the world that we're in? So we're in such a great opportunity to make more money than you know what to do with. But you've got to start. You've got to know your audience. You've got to be obsessed about it. You've got to go hard. And for the people who are slightly older, because I do get this, am I too old for TikTok? No.
Okay.
You can be any age. Oh my God, there's so many case studies. You can monetize gardening. I could monetize selling my Vaseline. You could monetize everything and anything.
Yeah, can we just expand on that a tiny bit? Because I know loads of people will be going, but what is my thing? And even though they might have a business, or like, what can I teach people about that? How do you?
Yeah. So okay, look, let me try and break down the stepping stones to monetizing on TikTok. Talk about something you are just really passionate about. So something that you've been through, something that you can add value in an educational way. So take any aspect of your life. Educate people about it. So if you're a single mum at home who loves to work out, talk about maybe the divorce that you had, the hardship, the good, the bad, the ugly, how hard it can be to find a gym that has a nursery to look after your child, and then showcase it and talk about it and everything that you're going through, but do it in an educational way and say, you know, you've got to be hooky, you know, there's elements to it that you've got to figure out marketing wise, but then talk about what, you know, how did you do it, and then tell people a solution and the 3 top tips of what you figured out through going through your first divorce, or, you know, building your first little business in your tiny little spare room at home, and what were the things you never considered, and educate people and ask them to engage. You know, get them in the comments, because when you get people into the comments and they start saying, "Oh my God, you know, Emma, I loved, how did you do that? You know, like, do you mind telling me how'd you do that?" If you get that 10 times, 20 times a day, you could sit back and go, "I'm getting the same question every day. Maybe I'll have a little product, just a little bit of low-hanging fruit that's $19.99, find the platform, figure out how to build it, use ChatGPT to give me a roadmap on how to do it, and then just very subtly say, 'Hey, thanks so much for your question,' put in the time, engage." I reply to every comment on YouTube, every comment.
Yourself?
Yeah, every comment, which has allowed me to really build this loyal, die-hard community, and reply to them and say, "Hey, thanks so much. Just to let you know, just a link in the bio. I've got this wicked little downloadable. Would love to know what you think. Feel free. It is there if you need it, but it explains everything. Or head over to my YouTube where I've done a full course tutorial, totally free. Go check it out. But the full course tutorial's got all the plugs." And nurture that. And then when you have feedback from the market, just like a business, you can then start to figure out what you can build. And then you repeat what's already worked. You know, analytics are there for a reason. They don't put them on there just so we ignore them. We should look at them and go, "That one worked. They didn't. Oh my God, that works. And I've got 70% women. I need to do more of that."
Wow.
And just really figure it out, and then be proactive to PR all of this, public relations. Get yourself on podcasts. Go tell your story. Go write a book. Get on the radio. Email The Sun. You know, if you have a video that does 500,000 views, email it to The Sun with the analytics and say, hey, I'm just wondering, could we do an article around this thing that I've spoken about? I've got 500,000 views. Could we do an article about this? You know, mums who are looking to, you know, create a whatever, I don't know, you know, start communities, memberships.
Yeah.
But you have to be in it. You've got to be volume in order to get so much feedback. You can work out what people want.
I've just like had a massive light bulb moment there. It's actually market research as well, like testing the market, testing what lands constantly to actually build something off the back of it. So you're not necessarily going, right, I'm going to build this thing, then I'm going to start doing content. It's like, do content, talk to your people, what do they want, build the thing.
90% are free and then a very subtle 10% ask, and show up every day. The other thing we forget about, it's an obligation. If you start this journey, like, you cannot take your foot off the pedal. I've already posted twice today. We're doing a live stream. I do a live stream tonight. I'll post, you know, I've got my post going out later on all platforms. It's an obligation.
Do you find that intrusive, or like, oh, I really can't be bothered today?
Yeah, but that's the beauty of then you build a team, right? You know, I have a backlog of like 200 videos. If I don't want to film, I can just upload a video. Scheduling is great.
Yeah.
You know, but I enjoy it. The thing is, I've never hit burnt out because I love the thing that I do.
So true.
I just get, you know, sometimes I just maybe want to chill out. But then that's the beauty of having a lot of things automated, is that I don't have to be on it all the time. I can just, it looks like I'm there, but it's all inner workings of, you know, AI, workflows, automation. So but it's worth it, because personal branding, although it's overused and abused now, it really is the future. We used to go into, just to paint this picture, we used to go into a store like B&Q. Why did we buy from B&Q? Do you know the owner of B&Q? But think about it from a commercial aspect, from a consumer point of view. We went into B&Q and we'd buy a wheelbarrow because there's this huge warehouse. They've got signage, there's car parking, there's other people here, there's staff. This must be real, you know, because they have items. We had no idea who owned it. But these are all shutting down now. The physical businesses are all shutting down. They can't afford to run. So now it's all about trust. Before I buy, I need to see the person. I want to hear them, I want to like them, and I want to trust them. So it is important. You can't be a faceless business anymore, in my opinion. I wouldn't be on the radio. I wouldn't be on all these opportunities if my face was covered up.
Yeah. And trust even more, because with all of the kind of content that's being pushed out there at the moment, and there is a lot of content and it's all the same, isn't it? All the writing's the same. It's the 3 bullet points and the emojis. Like, you can see it's all just being churned.
Which is why I do none of that.
Yeah.
I stay away from anything that's considered normal or average. And I do my own thing, because then I'm always separating myself from everyone else. You'll always have people, you know, you'll always have people say, you know, the whole, you're scamming people, you know, like you'll have, another guru or another one selling something online. And what you're finding though, and I'm seeing it, is less of these people are out there, because people are waking up and they're like, actually, I do need to be online. I've just been made redundant. Oh, you know, actually there were, you know, I'm calling people gurus and scammers, but there were scammers in banks, there were scammers in car showrooms. We are moving on you know, and all these people, they're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
You have to move now. Like, we are in a very different world. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are burying their heads in the sand. Systems are becoming leaner. You know, I don't really need any staff. I have freelance members, but I don't need anyone full time. Again, you know, I've got to, especially with like things like YouTube, you know, it's so residual, it's so evergreen.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone. And again, then you can live a life by design if you manage your money well. If you you know, like if I went out spending all my money, I'm going to have to work even harder. But I'm not bothered about, I think one of my final messages is learning to become very unapologetically authentic, because, and this is with a message, I've never suffered from a panic attack. I've never had anxiety. I've never had depression. I've never been bothered about what people think. I'm just not fussed about what people may or may not think. And that's a great position to be in a world that everyone's having a midlife crisis and worrying about everyone else, is that I've done everything for me. I buy things for me and my family. I shop in Primark.
Yeah.
You know, there was an article done of me, which was he shops in Primark but can afford Gucci. What am I going to do with Gucci or Louis slides? For who? My son doesn't care. Yeah. I walk around in a Harry Potter hoodie and I like Coronation Street. Who am I proving?
Yeah.
You know, I put this top on today and I thought, oh, it's thinning out a bit. I've had it for ages. I thought, fuck it. Shall I go get a new top? I've had this for fucking years. I can't even tell you how long I've had. I've had it for years. I've had these jeans for years. I do like my trainers, but I'm just not bothered about showing up for the world. So
because you're happy with what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't even look at other people's stories. I have people say to me, and again, a message: don't consume, only create. Yeah. I don't watch other people's stories. I literally have no idea what's going on in other people's lives. When they're like, "Oh my God, did you see so and so?" I'm like, "Who?"
No.
I haven't got a clue. Well, where have you been? I don't know. I've been at home in an hoodie, like sitting on a recliner chair in my cesspit. Like I don't do anything, you know. And then I feel like you can live a very humble life and you appreciate the little things, like, you know, I appreciate having a small, humble house. I appreciate copper pans, going out for walks, you know, being able to go to the coffee shop, buy normal price coffee, not in London. Yeah. I always feel like I'm buying shares in the coffee shop that I'm buying. And, but, you know, being able to go and have a coffee when the world is rushing around at 9 a.m.
I could totally get it.
And I sit there and with all my family, and my son sometimes goes to school, doesn't go to school, does what he wants. You know, we don't live by society's norm. Yeah.
Aaron, you've been absolutely fantastic today. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm also glad that we got the same memo on the outfit. I feel like we're twinning today. Yeah. Where can people find you, Aaron, if they want to know more, learn more, consume more?
Just Aaron Knightley.
On all platforms?
On all platforms, yeah. That's it. Very simple. Kept it nice and easy.
Thank you so much for today. You've been brilliant.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.